Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we are discussing a topic that got brought up on last night's Friday night live stream. And that is, has the game slowly become more and more pay to win over the last couple of years? Especially with some of the ships that have been getting released, right? So, let's take a look at these claims. As this gentleman in chat last night was hardly the first guy to bring this up. I mean, I don't think a day goes by where someone doesn't mention it in the comments section somewhere in one of the videos on the channel, right? So, let's take a look at this topic. But before we do, if you wouldn't mind, at least before you click off the video, please make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, and if you do enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel before you leave. Helps out tremendously so on the YouTube side of things. And of course, you do like videos like this talking about things that you guys bring up, make sure to subscribe for more. But anyway, let's start with the definition of pay to win. So apparently there's no like set definition apparently, but most of the definitions I was able to dig up basically say it is a model where players can spend real money in a game to gain a significant advantage over other players that do not spend money. So things like outright overpowered items that you can buy with cash but you cannot obtain through regular gameplay, a significant boost in upgrades that make it easier and faster to improve your character or vehicle. In the case, of course, of Warships, Tanks, and War Thunder, the games that most of you guys are interested in. So, does that take place in Warships, or can you do that in Warships, I should say? Can you give wargaming real-world money to get some type of huge advantage over players that don't spend money on the game? Well, I know some of you are probably thinking about two ships in particular that were released here recently. One of them is more than likely the Valparaiso, which we did a whole video on that I think last week or the week before last, because it is returning in the Still Fleet event coming up here at the end of the year. And of course the ship you're watching in the background right now, or if you're listening to this while driving, I'm in the seat behind you, the Sibir, the Tier 10 Soviet secondary battleship with, of course, its funny F button. Now, these two ships are pretty stupid. You've probably seen some pretty hilarious clips of these ships doing pretty stupid things. I mean, we've all watched how the Valparaiso just kind of walks through the enemy team, not really caring about the damage that it takes because it gets all those super heals, and the combat instructions allow it to get its super heal back in 3 seconds with it running. And it's so easy to get the combat instructions going with, having to just get secondary hits. And when Wargaming gave this ship improved secondary guns with improved accuracy and improved reload time, it's really not that hard to get that combat instruction bar basically continuously full, right? And of course, you've probably seen similar things happen with the Sibir, where once it gets in secondary range, it can kind of just have super accurate guns every couple of seconds, or definitely every other salvo, once it really gets chewing on something with its secondary guns. And of course, with the heal that lasts for 1 minute and 40 seconds, you're basically not really going to get sunk for that 1 minute and 40 seconds unless you eat a wall of Shimakaze torpedoes, or you're getting absolutely dogpiled by, I would say, at least 9 out of the 12 players on the enemy team. So those are ships that at this moment could only be acquired via real world cash, either by buying them outright in Admiral packs, or of course gambling with real world, with doubloons that you exchange real world cash in order to acquire, at the time of recording at least. And those two ships, what I just described, they're very powerful, right? Yes, they are. However, while I just spent a couple of minutes talking about their upsides, they both have some pretty big downsides. First off, the Valparaiso is a vanguard at the end of the day. It has a citadel that's very exposed. It has 8 15-inch guns at tier 9 that are not accurate by any stretch of the imagination, and it doesn't have any other consumable besides the heal and its damage con. Doesn't have a plane, doesn't have a hydro, doesn't have radar, has nothing else, not even DFAA. So, yeah, well, sure, when its secondaries are going and you're murdering things with the secondaries and not dying because of the super hill, it's pretty great. But there's a very simple counter to the Valparaiso, which is just don't let it get within secondary range. Like most people know, the Valparaiso secondary boat If its secondaries get going, it's really just going to survive. So just sail away from it and shoot it in its massive citadel. That is very much a counter to the Valparaiso. Trust me, I've done it. It was in the opening to my Indiana review. We literally clapped a Valparaiso from almost full HP because it is just a Vanguard at the end of the day. So it's not that hard to counter once you know how to counter it. Now the Sibir, the crazy Soviet battleship that has super accurate guns when its secondaries are going. Well, once again, just don't let it get within secondary range. This one's even easier because it's on the Kremlin hull. The Kremlin only goes 28 knots. The Sibir only goes 28 knots. There's quite a number of ships that can kind of just go away from the Sibir, and it can't really do that much about it, because without its combat instructions going, as again, you've been seeing the background footage, the guns are by no stretch of the imagination accurate at all. Like, from outside its secondary range, which has a very short secondary range of like 11.5 kilometers, you're not really hitting much. It's like dispersion that makes the old German battleship dispersion look good, okay? So you do that, you stay out of secondary range, you just bully the thing to death, and like, yeah, it does have that minute and 40-second heal, but guess what? If you do the math, that minute and 40-second heal regens way less HP than like the normal heal set that the Kremlin gets, right? And again, I'm comparing to the Kremlin so much because, you know, this is a Kremlin that they just souped up in some different ways. So, like, yeah, and it doesn't even get to the quick damage con that these Soviet battleships do get. So, it's not overly hard to counter as long as you know how to counter it. But Sealord, that's not the point. In the right situation, these ships are incredibly powerful. I mean, you kind of just walked up to a GK in this video and just murdered it while still being bullied by a SIL during the whole time. Yeah, that's true, but like, this is myself playing a Sibir. My number one most played ship is the GK. So guess what? I really know how to bully the GK. And playing the GK has also made me pretty good at ships that are of the same playstyle. I can pick up pretty much any secondary brawler in the game and make it work. And that's saying a lot because the current high-tier meta is not really conducive to a brawling environment, if you haven't noticed. Now, I'm not trying to say I'm a god or anything. I just know how to make these ships work in the game. So, no doubt, when I play the Sibir, when I play the Valparaiso, I know how to make it work. And probably the people that you've seen a lot of these clips from the Valparaiso and the Sibir, very much know how to make it work. And that's kind of how every ship works in the game, or at least every new ship that the player base likes to hype up to the moon and back. You know, clips get circulated of players that know how to make that style of ship work, and they use the new gimmick or the new consumable that Wargaming is given to these ships, and, you know, it gets pasted all over, you know, the forums don't exist anymore. Well, the community ran forums, the Discord, the subreddits, YouTube and such, and people see these ships and they get these, you know, overinflated reputations. And then, of course, when people go to look at the ship in game, it's a ship you have to buy, so, oh, it's pay to win. It's not really the case with World of Warships, because, sure, if Wargaming does release a new ship and it's very good at this one thing, and you give it to someone who's very good at doing that one thing, yes, they're going to do very well doing that one thing, and that ship that's good at doing that one thing. But if you take that exact same player, unless they're, of course, someone who spent a ton of time playing this game, right, and they're good at doing everything, and then you put them into a different class of ship that is not what they're used to playing, and it can be the best ship in the game at doing that one thing, but if that player isn't good at doing what that ship does, it's not going to go well. Like myself, if you put me into, like, even a Jaeger, which is probably one of the easiest torpedo boats to play in the game, I can get torpedo hits, but I'm not going to be that good of a torpedo boat captain in a Jaeger. Or like a Shimakaze, you know, which is still considered to be, you know, one of the best torpedo boats in the game. You put me in a Shimakaze, I'm going to be in that bottom of that leaderboard like 9 times out of 10 probably, because guess what? I don't really know how to play torpedo boats. Same with putting me in like CVs or submarines. I can make some CVs work. I have some experience in them, but like I'm not a CV main. So you can put me in like the most busted CV in the game at the moment, but guess what? I'm not going to really be able to carry the team like someone that really knows what they're doing in that ship. So that right there leans more toward the not really pay to win side of things, in my opinion. Because it was pay to win, like we just looked at, it's when you pay real cash to get a significant advantage over other players. And that's just not the case here. Now, I'm not saying Wargaming doesn't from time to time release a ship that's not balanced properly. They've done it plenty of times in the past. We've talked about it to no end here on the channel, and they still, every now and then, something comes out, it's a little bit too overtuned, and then Wargaming goes ahead and balances it further down the road. Now, of course, if they never touch premium ships, this would be a little bit of a different story, but Wargaming has been nerfing and buffing premium ships for years now, so they very much do it, right? It may take them some time because they are very patient with the data. Usually about 4 months after a ship gets released, they then apply the balancing changes to it one way or another. Again, that's a pattern you can go look up with, when a ship gets released versus when it starts to receive changes. I've been talking about this game for 8 years, so I'm very familiar with the pattern here. The other thing too is that some of the best ships in the game, you don't have to pay a single penny for them. Like some of these single best ships in the game are resource ships, coal and steel. Sure, it might take you a little while to get the coal or steel needed to get these ships, but like, Burgon, Napoli, Ohio, these are all resource ships, right? That you just have to put a little time into the game in order to get these ships, and you can get them completely for free. And if you really want to talk about paying to get an advantage over the other guy, the one thing in the game that was pretty pay to win, Wargaming removed, and that was premium consumables. They removed this years ago. If you've been playing for the past 4 years, you probably even know there were premium consumables at one point in time. But yeah, you used to be able to buy premium consumables that straight up gave you an advantage over the person that didn't have them. Now you could pay for them for credits, but Wargaming pulled the plug on that too, and now all consumables in the game are premium consumables. The premium consumables, if you're wondering, they had a much faster cooldown time than their non-premium counterparts, so that is straight up an advantage. It's not a ship that's really good at one thing, but not so good at something else, right? Like there's no balancing factor to that. It's just straight up better than the non-premium counterpart. Now, one thing that World of Warships very much is, it is pay to save time. It is 100% pay to save time. You 100% can throw money at the game to save time with grinding XP, credits, whatever. Now that to me is a much more preferable pay to do X model than pay to win, because you can just take your dear sweet time and get pretty much whatever you want in this game for free just about, with of course the exception of ships that are available exclusively for doubloons. That is true, but the game does have to make money some way, shape, or form, right? So selling premium time and selling premium ships is how they do that. Now, are the ships that you can buy for straight up doubloons better than the tech line ships or the ships you can get for resources? I'd say no, not really. I mean, in fact, one of the most cracked ships in the game right now is a tech line battleship, the Colombo. Once you slap the unique upgrade and Sansonetti on it, both of which, well, all three of which can be obtained for free. You can get the unique upgrade for Research Bureau points, which all you have to do is regrind lines. You can get Sansonetti via his collection for coal. And of course, the Colombo is a ship that you get by just researching it as normal. So, yeah, not really pay to win, pay to save time, and pay for early access. Abso-frickin-lutely. Almost forgot to mention this. Early access. Wargaming loves their early access now. This is something that I'm not really a big fan of at all, as you guys have probably heard me rant about this to, again, no end, with the tech tree ships now being, basically 10-week early access doubloon extractors, right? Where when we'll see this with the Pan-Euro BBs, they're going to be in early access for 2 patches for 10 weeks. If you want to play them before everybody else, you can throw your wallet at the game and do that and have access to the cool new shiny thing for 10 weeks before it's absolutely free to grind. It's kind of silly, but I guess that wasn't making Wargaming enough money, and now they do like this early access period with premium ships, where they will release a premium ship like the Valparaiso or the Sibir in some bundle or some Admiral pack. You got to pay through the wazoo to get them, but they do eventually come to the game for, either a normal release style for premium ships. So it'd be like a coal ship, a doubloon ship, or in the case of the Valparaiso, like I mentioned, she's actually going to be a still ship with the launch of the Still Fleet event here at the end of the year. So they do eventually come in another way to the game. It just might take a little while, and it can be a very long while if we talk about things like the Kitakami and the defense, right? But again, those ships have their own weaknesses, their own balancing factors. They're not outright just better. Like, if there was like a, let's say, Valparaiso, and then a Valparaiso Plus, right? And the Valparaiso Plus had, a better reload, a better hill, or additional hills or something, but you had to pay for the Valparaiso Plus, then that is pay to win, obviously. But that's not the case here, is it? So guys, those are my 2 cents on, has the game gotten more pay to win over the past couple of years? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Just let me know what you are thinking in the comment section. Hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, a wonderful weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.